Hi everybody. So in this video we will go further on the directive concepts. What all different things you can define in a particular directive. We will see first and then we will see how we can bind the elements. So this is a directive and you see what all things are defined inside this directive. I have restricted this directive to an attribute require ng model. It means when you are writing an HTML tag for this directive, that should have ng model directive there, otherwise this directive will not work. Transclude equal to true or replace equal to true, we will take a look on that, because sometimes in this division demo tag you have some content, hello I am Tarun, and this demo tag also retrieving some data from directive. So if you put a transclude equal to true, it means you are not going to replace the data inside this division tag. So you can keep both the content. First content is whatever already there, or the another content which you are retrieving from this template. So you can keep both the things when you put a transclude equal to true. If you are not specifying it, then the output of directive will replace this division demo tag. So that's another thing. Now this is for the provide the isolation between the different directives. We will take a look. And this is the link function in which we pass scope element attribute to fire some event to get some to get the scope and fire a method which can be executed from controller. So here we are getting scope element attribute, element on which we are applying this directive. So we can get the scope, we can get the element, and we can put a bind some kind of event handling with that particular element, like when you mouse enter, then you can execute some method from the controller. You can also specify a controller, or you can define a controller in the directive also, and you can define a template here. You can also define a template URL here. Template URL means in place of template, if you want to replace it with some index.html or some file, then it will use that. So these are the different concepts of directive. While going further, you will become familiar about how to write the directive. So in this video, we will create an element and we will fire a method on that. So what I will do, I will create a directive, right, say dot directive. I will create a directive like mouse enter. Mouse enter, you can do like over, and this is my function. I will specify this function here. So what this directive is returning, return function. This function has scope and element there, so I can access the element on which I'm going to apply this. You can also specify attributes, and what I'm doing here, I'm applying event handling here, element dot mouse enter. You have to bind it first to some method, and this is my function which I will execute when I mouse over to that element. Console.log to that element. So this is how you can create a directive. Here what I did, over is my directive, which is by default restricted to the attribute. If you are not specifying that restrict element, then it is by default is restricted to the attribute. Now I'm binding this element to the mouse enter function. Bind means you are binding it to the particular event. So I bind it to the mouse enter, and I'm executing this. Console.log, or you can do alert or something. And in the HTML, this is over is my directive. So what I will do, I will just replace it. So let's see. You can see this alert here. And in the console log, you will see I'm over to this element. Whenever you go over to it, it will fire that event. You can create one more bind method here, like element dot bind mouse leave. I think that is the correct mouse leave. I'm leaving that element. So there are two methods I created, mouse enter and mouse leave. So I will remove this alert statement. It's not required. We will see in the console. So this element is bound to the mouse enter and mouse leave. Let's see the output. Okay, you see this? When I mouse over to it, it is firing this event continuously. So in this way, you can bind the elements. We have the element here. We have all each and everything. If we have the attribute, element, and scope. So you can access the scope here. You can access the scope, element, and attribute. So like if you are specifying any attribute here also, like name equal to Tarun, you can get this attribute here because name is an attribute here which has the value Tarun. So you can get the value inside this using attribute dot value. So that's all for now. Thank you.